Chloe and Jess will read us in our call to worship.
God, transformer of persons.
May we have the enthusiasm of Zacchaeus.
May we be willing to go out of our way to climb obstacles to behold you.
We want to see you.
May we be confident in our status as your beloved.
We want to see you.
May we count the kingdom as our highest treasure.
We want to see you.
May we be willing to give away all possessions and power to receive the riches of grace.
We want to see you.
May we have the openness of Christ, who is a guest of us, of outcasts.
We want to be like you.
May we have the mind of Christ who sought out the lost.
We want to be like you.
May we have the compassion of Christ, who loved the poor and powerless.
We want to be like you.
We who, with all unveiled faces, contemplate the Lord's glory,
Are being transformed into his image.
As we gaze upon Christ,
We are transformed.
Amen.
Thank you for being here this morning. Welcome. If you are new to the Elevation Sunday morning, we say thanks for being here and it's good to have you. And I hope we meet some of you as the morning unfolds. Our service is a little different this morning, so what a great way to show up at 22 Willow. My name is Melanie Martin, and this morning we are here to talk about the ways in which Elevation tries to be a community that gives generously and participates in what is happening outside the walls of this place of worship and our Sunday mornings we spend together. So it is called our mission service. And I would like to acknowledge that the word mission may be a difficult one. Much harm has been done over the centuries to the current day in the name of mission. And so I would just like to say that out loud. We're not getting everything right, but we are trying to do better. We hope this morning is a time of inspiration, encouragement, and compelling ideas for how we can better understand what Jesus meant when he told us that the most important thing is to love God with our whole heart, body, and mind, and to love others. In early 2019, the mission team made a commitment to be more intentional and structured about how mission partners were selected and managed. We also sought to deepen the relationship between our partners and the community. As part of this, we surveyed the congregation to get a better understanding of our vision and priorities when it came to mission partners and mission work. We received more than 60 responses to the survey and had nearly 10 people attend a small group discussion about our mission partners and mission at Elevation. This is what you told us. The 2019 survey told us. Elevation should support a broad range of mission work, including refugees, children, homelessness, students, Indigenous people, and sustainable development. There was a clear interest toward refugees. 40% of respondents were very interested in refugee partnerships, with 30% for the next closest, partners working with children and youth. Elevation should support local, national, and international causes. There was a clear interest toward local causes. 35% of respondents were very interested in local KW partners, with 22, the next closest, in very interested for international partners. The congregation would like an opportunity to support the partners in a variety of ways, including volunteerism, attending events, praying, and financial giving. The community would like to be well informed of mission activities, opportunities to get involved, as well as general partner updates. So based on the input from our community, the mission team did the following. We selected 4 primary partners that you will hear about this morning. We allocated a budget for member-driven member initiatives, which you will also hear about later, for the community to put forward their ideas of where they would like the funds to go and perhaps even volunteer opportunities for the community. We made a conscious effort, working with the staff and Elevation members, to identify and share opportunities for volunteerism with our partners and member initiatives, and we made a conscious effort to provide regular updates on mission partners through in-person and video updates. This morning is kind of a continuation of what we set out to do in 2019. So our service this morning is going to inform you about the partners we have, the member initiatives we've been doing. That will be our time we're sharing together in here. And then we'll head out into the gym, and we're gonna have some discussion around this. And we're gonna ask ourselves, what resonates? And what is next for us? What can we vision and dream for as Elevation continues to live generously in the world? Our first update is from our partners, FaithTech. So there's a FaithTech video and then a message from James. So I'll let you enjoy that.
FaithTech is a global tech community for Christ. There's people all around the world that love Jesus and love technology, trying to figure out how do we live out the gospel in the places that we feel called to be in.
Maybe you've fallen in that gap where you don't really know how to use your tech skills in your faith community and you feel underutilized. You may feel a bit isolated.
FaithTech is a community where those people can find each other so that they can advance the gospel by stewarding their skills, stewarding their minds to bring glory to God all around the world and in their city. So FaithTech began with 35 people in the back of this dimly lit coffee shop where we are all just asking questions like, how do we in a short period of time build technology together to solve fundamental issues? And that's what's formed. FaithTech now is this global tech community for Christ where people are meeting all around the world to eat together and learn together and advance redemptive technology for the glory of God.
FaithTech Labs is a primary expression of our community, where people who love Jesus and love technology get to come together and get to steward their skills to glorify God. You see tech products built that serve mission organizations, charities, community partners in the world that otherwise might not have the resources to do these sort of tech projects, but they're aimed at giving impact towards marginalized communities, towards helping the local church and helping the spread of the gospel. So you get great stories of 150,000 Bible distributions being recorded on an app, or sex trafficking being cut at the point of demand by an AI chatbot, or people coming together to redeem the worst website domains in the world for the name of Jesus. But you also see each member of that team getting transformed more into the likeness of Christ as they seek biblical wisdom in the actual process of building tech. FaithTech gives you the opportunity to take your tech superpowers, to take your passion for Jesus and bring them together in a project team that can then do something really meaningful, both for the kingdom of God, but in your life too.
So if you want to have an impact, you want to steward your skills to glorify God, you want to do it with other people, join a FaithTech community, join in what God is already doing all around the world, this great mission of advancing redemptive technology.
Hey Elevation Church, yeah, that video just shows you a little bit about FaithTech, and I just wanted to say a huge thank you for all the ways you have supported us through all these years. This cool mission of helping people in this tech ecosystem all around the world find community and steward their skills to glorify God. And by God's grace, over the last year, since we've really given an update, God has done all sorts of really cool stuff in this local and global ministry. We're now in 21 cities around the world, and we have a list of people from over 168 cities. Over 300 people have applied to say, hey, can I start a local FaithTech community? People that love Jesus, that build and create technology to advance the glory of God, from cities all over the world. And this started 6 years ago here in Waterloo, which is so encouraging. We're also starting FaithTech across the Middle East coming up in the next 5 to 6 months, and expanding in Asia. And right now, as you guys are watching this, we're kicking off or just had a hackathon here in Waterloo, where people came together to build and create technology to glorify God, to help churches, to serve and support the poor in our city. And so I just want to thank you guys for the way that you've supported us, the way you continue to support us. Just appreciate it so much. And if anyone has any questions about, okay, this is my first time hearing about FaithTech, what is this? Sounds really strange. Reach out. My email is james@faithtech.com. I'd love to chat with you. So again, james@faithtech.com. And obviously, secondly to that is prayer. Again, this is a global ministry. It's happening here locally in Waterloo, but all around the world. And what comes with that is challenges, comes with it battle. This is something that Satan does not want in the world, to advance his gospel, leveraging, building, creating with technology. So we could use your support and prayer in the work that we do. Appreciate you guys. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
A few weeks ago, we did our annual Ride for Refuge. So this next video is from our Journey team. All our ride funds are used by the Journey team to support refugee initiatives, and you will hear more from them now.
Good morning, Elevation. I hope you're having a wonderful day. My name is Courtney Jansen-Grieve, and I have led the Journey team for a number of years now. And we just wanted to give you a bit of an update. So a few weeks ago, hopefully you would have seen the amazing photo of the people who participated in our Ride for Refuge. That's our major fundraising event for the year. We had an amazing turnout of riders and walkers, and we also had an amazing set of volunteers who made it all possible. And so I just wanted to give you some history of the Journey team in Elevation and kind of our walk with refugees. As a lot of people are new to the community, and even those who've been around a while may not really know kind of the richness of the history. So since we're talking about the Ride for Refugees began in 2004, and it eventually changed its name to the Ride for Refuge so that it could include more broader groups of people. So this event has been supported by many from our community over many years, some starting right away. And so I just wanted to tell you that the ride money actually goes to supporting sponsorships as well as in-city events and our local partnerships as well. So from 2015 to 2021, we as a community have collectively raised $240,000 during the Ride for Refuge, which is an incredible amount of money. We're very lucky that we can use some of that to support sponsorships as well as the local organizations and events and other initiatives that I'm going to talk about today. But I wanted to take you back to why we do this. And this is an important question, and it's an important understanding to kind of ground ourselves in kind of how this started. A number of years ago, we had a family come to Elevation. There were Javier, Jamile, Gabby, and Paula. And they were an amazing part of our community. They got to Canada. It took 7 years for the Canadian government to hear their case as to why they should be allowed asylum in Canada. During that time, they obviously settled in, they got jobs, they became productive members of our broader community as well as super important members of our church community. And then they were denied their claim. So ultimately, after a few years of trying to figure out ways to keep them here, they were deported back in the fall of 2012. I can't really explain to people who didn't know them or weren't there just like the impact that had on those of us who were around at the time and were involved with their family, because it really is not something that you can put into words. I had always thought of the airport as a happy place. I had been, obviously going to visit my family or going on adventures on an airplane. It's super exciting. I'd even experienced some unbelievable joys in airports with refugee families who are being reunified. But this is the most devastating thing to witness, really. Like, their extended family in Canada had been granted asylum. So Javier's siblings, 2 of his siblings and their families, were allowed to stay. And a different person heard Javier and Jamile's claim and decided that it wasn't real enough. And so they were denied their claim. And so the family here is terrified for the family who has to go back home. And so, so just like really a part of our history that really was a defining moment in why we do what we do. You know, so many refugees don't have a fair chance. And so this is kind of something that we can go alongside them and really help to at least, better their odds. They were not allowed to speak with anyone in Javier's family. His father, to my knowledge, still can't contact them unless he just kind of randomly shows up and says hi and then leaves again. And so they're doing okay. They're doing well. But, ultimately, they've had to restart their lives so many times. And it's extremely hard to do that. And so just seeing what they faced has really propelled our church to kind of see how we can improve the lives of refugees that come to Canada as well as those living abroad. So in 2011, we started our team. We originally called ourselves the Proud to Protect Refugees team. That was the campaign going on at the time. And so at some point we decided we'd shorten it because that was a little mouthful. And so we landed on the Journey team. Our refugee sponsorships began to be supported formally through Elevation in 2014. So we had some previous to that were done through members of our community, but not kind of through the church specifically. So as a whole, our church has initiated 7 sponsorships of individuals or families in the past, with 5 sponsorships coming to fruition for a total of 18 people. So currently we have sponsorship applications for 2 families, a total of 10 people, and they were originally from the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Burma, which is what they prefer to call it. It's Myanmar to other parts of the world. We also have a family reunification in process at this time as well. And so we're waiting and hoping that will happen soon. And so we will be looking for people to join at least one of those teams in support over the next couple years. We're expecting them hopefully before the spring of 2024. So we'll be having, just a little information session on what it's like to be a sponsor in spring next year, 2023. So if you're interested, please just keep that in mind or contact me. That would be great. A note about sponsorships. We actually don't have a set of criteria to be sponsored that is very rigid. Some churches have very specific places they sponsor from or specific religions. And while we do have some kind of criteria in how we can support those people, it's much more broad and much more about our abilities to support them than who they are. And so I just wanted to let you know that we actually sponsor people from anywhere in the world, any gender identity as well as sexual orientation, race, religion, ethnicity. I don't know if I'm missing anything, but really, it's not for us a checkbox that they have to be like us or even somewhat similar to us. And so that's important. And we have supported different groups of people from different places and over different times. And so they aren't always sponsorships. Sometimes it's also just helping them in their journey to get to safety. And sometimes they don't need sponsorship. And so we're able to support them in that way as well. But I just wanted to let you know about that as well, because I think that's something that's a little bit unique about us as a church and something that's really important. Another really amazing initiative that we have is supporting post-secondary students in their education. So a number of years ago, a lady named Jeanette Duncan had the great idea to basically do scholarships for refugees in our community. Not Elevation community, but the broader community, because we have 3 post-secondary institutions. This seemed like a really great thing to do. And so Brennan Connolly, has really led that initiative. And so since 2016, we've given $24,500 in financial support to students living in KW. They may have gone to school elsewhere, but they were living in KW. And so we're really happy with that, and we look forward to seeing what else can happen from there. Another thing we've done over the years, and it takes on different forms and different seasons, is supporting a number of local organizations. The first one we supported was Welcome Home. It was a house where refugee claimants could come and live for up to a year once arriving in Canada. And they were an amazing organization. They've since closed. But it was wonderful, and we were able to really develop relationships and have weekly meals with them or take them on canoe trips. And so that was lovely. Another place that we support now is the Compass Refugee Center. They were previously called MCRS. And they are an organization that helps refugee claimants make their claim and access settlement services. The Sanctuary Refugee Health Center is the most amazing organization who supports refugees in accessing medical services. They're a family doctor, they have counseling, they do it all, and they really have a refugee lens on everything, and they have refugees working for them as well. So they're able to really provide a service that is excellent, really. And then another place we support is the KW Multicultural Center. So newcomers to Canada of any kind, and to KW rather, can access a wide variety of services, including job searches, interpretation services, conversational English, and more. And they are an amazing service. They have some refugee-specific services as well. So that's kind of the update and the history. I'm sure there's lots more that I could have said about things that have been going on. But I just wanted to thank everyone for listening and for really taking the time to understand why refugees are important to us. Thanks. Bye.
Okay. So, as Mel mentioned, there's kind of these two arms of our mission team, our 4 partners and our member initiatives. And so we've heard from 2 partners so far, if we're keeping track. FaithTech and our Journey team are 2 of our partners. And we're just going to pause for a minute there and hear a little bit about our member initiatives before we jump back into our last 2 partners. So, as Mel mentioned earlier in the service, this member initiative idea came out of a recognition that people were wanting to be more involved, to get involved, and specifically involved in local work. And so part of the concept was to give the community an opportunity to guide our missions work together as a community. And then COVID came along, and of course that impacted a lot of things, including this member initiative arm of our team. And so we got a little creative during those years, and we continue to move in some different directions within that member initiative team, including providing some opportunities like our service and learning Sundays that we've done a few times, as well as just trying to dig into what are some local things happening that we can open up to our community and both become aware of and also involved in. So for 2022, these are the member initiatives so far. And I say so far because 2022 is not finished. There is still some funding available in the member initiatives budget. And so we would encourage you, as you're watching or listening to these member initiatives, if something comes to mind or you have an idea, or perhaps next week when you're with your neighbors group, you can talk about that as a group too and see if there's something even in your neighborhood that sparks an idea, and feel free to bring those to the team. So far, Adventure for Change has been a pretty consistent member initiative that we have supported over the years. Many of you will be familiar with Adventure for Change. They describe themselves as generations of people restoring peace, revealing beauty, pursuing justice, and living compassionately. Sounds like a pretty beautiful goal. So they run programs and are building community out of the neighborhood hub in the Sunnydale neighborhood in Waterloo. They have expanded significantly over this year and have been given use of the entire second floor of the Plaza building where their hub has been. And if you haven't had a chance to check it out, get in touch with Jeremy and go and check it out. It's pretty phenomenal what is going on over there. Young Life is another one. So Tyler Loveman, some of you may recognize Tyler. He's a member of our community here, and he works for Young Life. In the last couple of years, we've supported him as a member initiative as well. Young Life works with youth in our community, so mostly in schools. And he has a couple of schools primarily that he is involved with, and contacting youth who may otherwise not be present in youth group settings, but just walking with them through the difficult high school years. Pastors in Exile was a new member initiative that we supported this year. Pastors in Exile, otherwise known as PI, is a progressive and affirming community-based ministry that seeks to empower young adults as they explore and deepen the spiritual meaning of their lives, world, work, and activism. We were able to support their Sunrise Easter service this past spring with a donation to help them put on that service. Community ministry is one you've probably heard about over the last number of years. This is a ministry that is partnership between Trillium Church here and Calvary Memorial United Church. And they offer a Thursday night meal right here at 22 Willow. Members of our community have gotten involved with that over the years as well. And so they've also been a member initiative. They do these community dinners, food vouchers, connecting with and networking with other meal programs around the region as well. And so our show team, the Supportive Housing of Waterloo, our show team has picked up their monthly meal again. So we have a team of people who go to show once a month and have for many years and have built community with the tenants there and sharing a meal and just building relationships with those who live there. A Better Tent City has become a member initiative over the last, I would say, about 2 years. We have become more involved with A Better Tent City. And kids, you will remember perhaps this past summer, we raised some money to buy a barbecue. You can see it kind of in the corner of one of those pictures there. Gary's behind there flipping burgers. And so A Better Tent City has moved a few times and is currently semi-permanently located over by the school board office. And so we've been building relationships with the residents at Better Tent City as well as those who are coordinating the food. And so that is an opportunity that we're looking to expand. And if you're interested in being involved with that, please do reach out to us. So as I mentioned, we've done these service and learning Sundays, and a lot of these different opportunities are involved in those where we take a Sunday morning and we don't meet here, but we rather have opportunities to be involved either in preparing food for A Better Tent City, or the show team will head to show, or we've done some work with Reception House and a number of different places around the city. And so those are the things that we want to talk about when we head to the gym later too. So if your mind is spinning right now with some ideas, hang on to them and bring them to those tables, bring them to us, and we'll just continue to allow this to be member initiated. Okay, I'm going to next, Future of Africa. So some of you may have seen TK was here last week. He was here for a few weeks visiting. He actually headed back to Ghana on Friday. But before he did, Teresa interviewed him, and so we're going to hear an update from TK and Nikki, their work with Future of Africa.
Now, I know you've been doing this work for a number of years, and I'm curious to know what's changed for Future of Africa.
Okay. So our work on the street started in 2015. That's when Nikki and I went to the streets every Saturday evening with university students. So we'll typically have about 15 to 20 university students who come to the street with us, and we'll put the kids we meet in small groups, and we have conversations about everything and nothing. But really the streets was just to allow us to get to know them and build relationships. So that's how it started. But then in 2019, we opened our community center, which is just about 5 to 10 kilometers away from the streets where we used to meet. And this has given us an opportunity to get some of these kids off the streets. The community center has become a safe space where they hang out with some of our volunteers and staff. They go through different programs to engage them. But when we started bringing the kids to the community center, we realized that a lot of them were dealing with mental and emotional health issues. So then at the community center, we have access to psychologists and social workers who take them through counseling and just get them away from the threats and danger they experience on the streets. Now, at a community center, we take them through our programs. Our programs focuses on healing and then focus on education. In the past 5 years, we've gotten about 21 kids off the streets, and most of them are in schools where they are studying, literacy, numeracy. But we are slowly evolving to focus more on employable skills training. Because typically when you get kids off the streets at 15 years and they go through testing to go to school, they get placed in grade 2 or grade 3. Now it's going to take that child another 10, 15 years to graduate with any meaningful education. So the focus is how can we train them in plumbing, in carpentry, in leatherwork, in food processing, and give them 2 to 3 years of employable skills training. And then when they graduate from our program, they are ready to become employed, and then they can become more independent.
How many youth do you serve on a daily basis?
So on a daily basis, I would say 21 kids who live at our community center when they're not in school. But then on a weekly basis, we see anywhere between 60 to 80 kids on the streets during our streets outreach. And then on a monthly basis, we see on average 200 kids at our different street intersections.
What does a typical day in the life of some youth coming to Future of Africa look like?
Okay. So on a day-to-day basis, most of our programs are being run at our community center. So in the morning, when they wake up, some of the kids live at our community center. So when they wake up, they have breakfast. Actually, not before breakfast, they do their chores. So they sweep the compound, clean the windows, dust the furniture, and then after that, they have their bath, they have breakfast, and then the day starts. So we have a schedule for them. In the mornings, they might have a math class, an English class, or a class on well-being in general. In the afternoon, we have different extracurricular activities that they can take part in. So there's dance, there's volleyball, there's Ludo, which is a board game. Really, we just try to create a light and fun atmosphere, at the same time getting them to learn literacy and numeracy as we prepare to transition them into more academic program or to learn a skill.
What is a fun activity that you might do with the youth at Future of Africa?
I enjoy playing Ludo. Ludo is a board game. I haven't seen it here. But beyond that, we dance with them. I love to drum, and we have one of our staff who's really good at dancing, and we make music, we dance together. And this just helps break down barriers and get us closer to the kids, because when we have shared experiences with them, we create memories, and that really builds a bond between Future of Africa staff, volunteers, and the kids. Actually, that's the biggest advantage Future of Africa has over other people, other missions or organizations doing this. We pride ourselves in the relationship we build with the kids. That's what it starts with, and that's why the kids prefer to come to Future of Africa, because we have time for them. We sit on the floor with them, we engage with them, we dance with them, we laugh with them, and that's what encourages them to get on the streets and join our programs.
Is there any reconciliation that happens with parents?
That's a very important piece of our program. So the second stage of our program is called Miahaya. Miahaya in my language, Ewe, means let's heal. So this stage of our program is focused on how do we reconcile or reunite the kids with their families. Because often when they leave home, parents try looking for them, and at some points they give up. Or sometimes when the kids are running away from abuse, they don't want to go back. So when they come to our community center, we hear their side of the story. We always trace where they're coming from. So sometimes that means driving for 8 hours or 6 hours to different rural villages, tracing their families and sitting down with them and asking, what happened. So often the families will have a different story than the kids. But then when we tell them how much we believe in their kids and how much we want to support them, give them access to healthcare, access to education, the families all of a sudden realize their children are worthy. They're worthy of love. They're worthy of care. And they don't have to carry the burden of the financial burden of taking care of them. So they are more willing to accept them. On many occasions, family would say they're tired of the kids. They don't want to have them anymore because they can't afford to look after them. So they ask us, do you want them? And families are ready to just pass on the responsibilities because they realize that kids look different when we bring them home. And that's because people like the Elevation community support us to support these kids and give them opportunities to leave the streets.
Is there something that we as an Elevation community can do to support you, Nikki, your 2 children, and Future of Africa?
You guys are already doing a lot for us. You support us financially, and that makes a big difference. 90% of the funds we use to run the programs comes from Canada and now the US. But the Elevation community has been great in supporting us financially, praying for us, checking in on us to see how we're doing, and that's very, very helpful because this journey can get lonely sometimes. So it's nice to know that there is a community of people who know us, who believe in us, believe in our work, believe in the kids, who are constantly praying, checking in on us, and supporting us financially.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Our last mission partner is Niños con Valor, or as the Canadian branch of the charity is known, the Bolivian Children Foundation. And they've been partners with Elevation for well over a decade, closer to 2. We've had the privilege of taking multiple teams there and have watched their organization grow and change with the needs of the children that they care for. They have several programs as part of their philosophy to care for one child at a time. Caminos Abiertos al Cambio, which means open pathways to change, is for teens. And there's a group of 9 teens from 5 different children's homes around the city. The teens started off shyly, but they've already begun to make new friends and settle into their new house for the next 3 months. We look forward to seeing the success of each of their lives as they're challenged, experience new adventures, reflect, and have fun along the way. Another program, Sendero de Esperanza, Trail of Hope for young adults. Over the summer, Niños con Valor started a new space for the pre-Sendero youth. And now the teen boys are included in the program as well. In the next 6 months, sisters Joseline and Johanna will be moving out on their own. So they've turned 18 and it's time for them to launch as young adults. Gloria and Eliana were certified after their aesthetics training course, and Heidi was able to start a similar course. It's so fulfilling to watch these young adults gain independence. And the residential homes. Despite the most recent wave of COVID in Bolivia, all of their children in the residential homes are COVID-free. And in other news, they're hoping to see family reunification in several cases. Karina, who recently turned 18, has already moved back in with her parents while planning her next steps with the help of Sendero de Esperanza. Elevation has an annual tradition of running a Stockings for Bolivia. See, another way you kids are involved in helping us. This is a campaign that helps provide Christmas presents for the children of Niños con Valor. So keep your eyes open for more information as we get closer to Advent. That was a lot to hear. A lot of information. Some of it might be brand new for you, and some of you may have been hearing this over the last few years. I'm going to pray. We are so thankful to be in this space together, God, to learn about the ways that you are present in our community, in Waterloo, and around the world. So we thank you for your love that gives us capacity to love others. Teach us to do that well. In the name of Jesus, amen.